I hope you like that spooky music, because guess who created it? That's right, it was me. This guy. This guy named Kirk, who's doing this podcast called Dumb Test Late. As you can tell by the spooky intro music, it's still spooky season. Today is October 29th. When I'm recording this, it means in a couple days it's actually Halloween. A lot of people are celebrating this weekend. So I wanted to make sure I got out my last spooky season episodes before I was about to say Thanksgiving, way before Thanksgiving, but Halloween. So this one, if you saw by the title, or if you didn't see the title, excuse me, is based on the urban legend of Resurrection Mary. That I randomly, it's an urban legend I've heard before. It's based on like the ghost hitchhiker, which I think has a bunch of different variations, because even like the reverse of it in a Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when he gets picked up by Large Marge, and after she drops him out, tell him Large Marge sent you. But this one is the Resurrection Mary is the story of like a ghost hitchhiker that died in the 1920s in Chicago on I think it's Archer Avenue, sorry. It was a hit and run, and she died, and like I guess every year her soul comes back or something like that, or people just randomly see what they think is her, an apparition of her on the street. There's some versions where she just haunts the street where she died. There's some where people have picked her up as a hitchhiker, and she asked them to take her to the cemetery where she's buried, which I think is called Resurrection Cemetery. That's like near that road, Archer Avenue. But there's many different tellings of urban legends at different areas. I didn't realize because I was looking up this, that it's actually set in Chicago. Like there's an actual like Archer Avenue. That's where she's mostly seen, or specifically Resurrection Mary. But to switch it around, give my own spooky take on it. My version, that she is a hitchhiker. I would keep that the same of Resurrection Mary. I don't know if I would set it in the 1920s, because the story being told is, I wouldn't say present day. So let's say if it's in the 1920s or 1930s, this is in like the 1950s or 1960s. And it's set on Halloween. So in this, my version, Resurrection Mary will come back every Halloween. That's why I like her clothes. If it was set in the if her death was in the 1920s or 1930s, people would just think she's wearing a costume. They say she's seen like wearing flapper clothes, because it was 1920s or 1930s, and they would see her on Halloween walking around thinking, it's just a person in a costume, in a really good ghostly flapper costume. But what I would add to it is told from the perspective of a person going to like a Halloween party, like a themed Halloween party on that road. So it'd be like a dance hall or something like that. And they go, and it's like it's like set in the 1920s or 1930s. That's the theme of the party, like a flapper party. And they go every year, because it's every year. They have the same theme at that, whatever hall, the 1920s or 1930s Halloween party. And they have an old, everything is set in that time. They have the music playing. They have like a full on ball and a dance with, flapper girls and all that stuff in that time period of music. This person goes every year, and we see it from their perspective. When they're just driving there, they go and they have a good time. They meet this woman there. They start talking, and, they dance, and he talks mostly about his life and what he's been through. And this person just kind of listens. This woman he dances with, kind of listens. It's mostly just him kind of just oddly updating his life. And then they talk more, and then she leaves with him in his car, and he just drives, just talking. They just talk to each other, and he asked her about her past and where she was born and where she came from and all this stuff. Then you realize that he stopped before the sun comes up. He stopped outside of the cemetery gates. And then you see the perspective of him sitting in the car alone. And you see Resurrection Mary, her spirit, walking through the gates of the cemetery as the sun is coming up, like early dawn. Right before the sun comes up, I should say, when it's still kind of dark outside. And then the spirit, the apparition of Resurrection Mary, looks back at the car and waves as she disappears more and kind of into the ethereal and walks through the gates of the cemetery. And then you get the perspective back on the person that drove her there, and he looks at her, waves, and it says, "Good night, Mom." So that's my twist on the story, that Resurrection Mary was a person in the 20s, and she was walking home and she was hit. She was pregnant at the time. She was like, let's say, almost about to give birth. But she got hit. And when they took her to the hospital, they saved the baby, but she died. And that baby grew up to be the person that met her at the hall that Halloween night and danced with her. Like, the reason he kept talking about what was going on with his life, because he knows that's his mother. He, at some point, finds out that his mother is Resurrection Mary, this apparition. And every Halloween night, he meets her at the hall to dance with her and catch up what's going on in his life. Like, he's had kids, he's gotten married, where he lives and all this stuff, what he's doing with his life. And he asks her about her past because he never got to know her. So this is the way he gets to know his mom, through her being Resurrection Mary. And then you pull back further and you realize the reason that dance hall, or that hall, has the 20s themed night every Halloween is because everyone in that hall is dead also. They're all spirits. Somehow he figures out a way to, I don't know if he resurrects them or something happens. He knows where every Halloween, he knows every Halloween night, all those spirits come back for one like ball, and his mom is there, and he dances with her. You know, he never got to meet his mom, never got to slow dance with her, anything like that. So he meets her there. That's his yearly catch up with his mom, who is Resurrection Mary. And at the end of the night, he drives her to the cemetery where she's buried, and her spirit goes back home. So that is my twist on Resurrection Mary. I tried to use, there is a Resurrection Mary movie. It came out in 2007. I don't know if there's a newer version, but it seems like a indie or made for TV movie where a younger guy meets Resurrection Mary hitchhiking, and he picks her up. He doesn't realize she's a spirit, and then what the synopsis said was his friends start dying. So it's kind of more horror. Mine is creepy horror. It's not like a horror story. It's like a sweet ending story with spirits. Maybe a family themed. I doubt it would be like a story that would last the whole movie. Maybe like one of those movies where there's different stories, or TV shows, or like Goosebumps, where there's different stories, but this one has a good ending. Yeah, it's told from it's seen from the perspective of Resurrection Mary's son. Every year at Halloween, he gets to see his mom again, or see his mom ever, because like I said in the story, she dies giving birth because she was in the car accident on the Archer Road in Chicago. Excuse me. I tried to get Chatbot to do it, but they literally just told the same story, like the urban legend. Mary was a beautiful young woman who lived in Windy City during the Roaring 20s. Yeah. One fateful evening, Mary was walking home in the night from dancing when she was tragically struck. Yeah. Local legends have it that Mary ghost never ages, and she still possesses a radiant beauty and charm that had once captivated the hearts of many. Over the years, many paranormal investigators and curious thrill seekers ventured to Resurrection Cemetery in search of Mary's spirit. So maybe her son is like a paranormal investigator, and at some point, maybe there's like a backstory of him realizing he putting the pieces together of when, he was born and what hospital and all that stuff. He figures it out, but he has a sweet thing where he can see her every Halloween and talk to her and listen to her and learn about her life and catch her up on what's going on in his life, for one night a year. So that's my resurrection story. AI didn't add to it all that much. I did use AI to do pictures, because remember, I have a website for Dumb Test Late. Excuse me. Also, the Instagram, where I still post AI generated images and videos kind of based on the stories I come up with. There's a pretty good one for this. I'll try to put those up. But thanks for listening. It's going to be a short one because I'm trying to do 2 episodes back to back, because spooky season is almost over. But thanks for listening. Hope you hear this one. Hope you hear the previous ones. Hope you have a good spooky season, because next up is that Christmas creep. We will be on it. So thanks for listening to this one, guys. Bye.